We are the Ministry of the Real Truth, and we have come across this Bible, so said Bible, named the Illuminati Bible by Sorin Cerin. What we've read of it so far isn't indicating that it's a Bible from the said evil secret brotherhood conspiracy related satanic order. He means it's a Bible of illumination. He's been illuminated. He's come to the light. He's realized through revelation, etc., that he has a full understanding of God, the scriptures, the truth, spiritual truth, and so forth. So let's have a look at this particular book. Sorin Cerin, the Illuminati Bible, 2014, and it's in the public domain. And the usage here says attribution, no derivative, works 3.0, and has these icons here. Which means that it's found in the public domain, public access, and it's free for us to make a video around it. So we shouldn't gather for ourselves a copyright claim or infringement or strike. Sorin Cerin, the Illuminati Bible. In 2011 he published a book called The Bible of the Light, which he felt as being a vision upon faith in divine light, a belief of his. Okay, so we went to find out who Sorin Cerin actually is or was or is. Sorin Cerin, born Sorin Hodorogia on November 25th, 1963 in Baia Mare, Romania, is a Romanian philosopher and poet of Balkan and Greeks. Life and career. He was born on November 25th, 1963 in Baia Mare, Romania, with the name of Sorin Hodorogia, being of Balkan and Greeks. He spent the first year of his childhood in the parish of his grandfather, an Orthodox priest, in the village of Satumare County. After finishing high school in Baia Mare, he continued his studies in Bucharest. He took an active part in the Romanian Revolution of December 1989. After that, he became editor of a Romanian newspaper, Trepatia, in order to finally choose the path of exile and took refuge in the United States. He left for the Australian continent as an international press correspondent for Australia. In 2013, Sorin Cerin was selected among the 20 authors of the Anthology of Contemporary Romanian Aphorism, published under the auspices of the Romanian Academy in Rome and the Italian Association of Aphorism. Wisdom collection by Sorin Cerin has been published in the series in each issue of the journal Literary Destinies, which appears in North America, starting with issue 8 of the magazine since December 2009 and ending with the 36th December 2015 issue of the magazine. In 2020, Wisdom collection is translated into Bulgarian and published in Bulgaria by Sveta Nikite Publishing House. Sorin Cerin publishes a collection of philosophical poetry in France in the year 2021, who receives the Montpezat Prize of the Foundation of the Society of French Poets, Société des Poètes Français. Academic appreciations, contribution in poetry, wisdom literature contribution, philosophical contribution, and his bibliography. All the books he's probably written: books of wisdom literature, philosophical books, bibliography of critical appraisals. Encyclopedias, dictionaries, anthologies, literary awards. He received a Montpellier Prize from the Foundation of the Society of French Poets, Paris, France, for the collection of poems, The Nonsense of Existence and Eternity, 2021. And there's a little bit about him there, right? Let's see what else we can find here. Sorin Cerin's poetry is considered in various academic studies a philosophical or existentialist poetry by literary critics published in cultural magazines such as those signed by Alexandru Sistilican and Familia magazine. Familia probably means family. And then Poesia, for which Sorin Cerin managed to write a philosophical poetry about which literary critics such as Titu Maiorescu and Panay Siena, who said in their day that it was so hard to do since there was a risk of working only on the idea and subordinating the imaginative to the conceptual. Elvira Sorahan sees Sorin Cerin's poetry as a continuation of the 21st century existentialist movement, as proof even from the title of the article entitled An Existentialist Poet of the 21st Century, published in the Culture magazine Convorbiri Litterare, where he highlights in Sorin Cerin a poetic work with influences from the forerunners of existentialism of the 19th and 20th centuries, like Jean-Paul Sartre. We thought he was a musician, right? Gabriel Marcel or Soren Kierkegaard, or even the biblical Ecclesiastes. Appreciating that Sorin Cerin reconfigured the existentialism of the present, although it was believed until then that existentialism was exhausted. Others such as Stefan Borbeli in Contemporaneal, it's making it really hard with all these Romanian words, all these different words, associate Sorin Cerin's poetry with specific influences from Manichaeism, Maya religion, from Hinduism, or pre-Christianity. Another part of literary criticism as well, Laura Lazar Zavalano in Familia magazine attributes to it connotations of intertextuality identified intrinsically with Lucien Blaga and so forth. There's not really any negatives here about this particular person. Other literary critics have also written, like Messiah Pop in Familia magazine, who considers, like others, that Sorin Cerin is a moralist with a thought and contemporary sensibility, but which puts the absolute in correct correlation with truth, hope, faith, sin, absurdity, happiness, etc. Or Ion Pakia Tato Mirescu, who states in his book Pages of Tomorrow's Wallachian Literary History that Sorin Cerin's aphorisms belong to paradoxism. And Adrian Danu Rachieru exemplifies some aphorisms that he considers memorable of Sorin Cerin's work, such as Life, which is the epic of the soul, or The Future, Father of Death, and his contributions to philosophy. The whole structure of Sorin Cerin's literary and aphoristic work is based on coaxialism, and the coaxialism seems to be bordering on paradoxism, but it is much more than that, approaching rather the dualistic philosophical and religious systems, culminating in Gnosticism and at first sight in Cartesianism, Cartesian rationalism, with influences from Friedrich Nietzsche and Immanuel Kant, regarding the logical interpretation of the theory of the postmodern history of the agnosticism. However, Sorin Cerin's Take 3 or 4. We are the Ministry of the Real Truth, and we came across this so-called Bible, or so-said Bible, called the Illuminati Bible by Sorin Cerin. We have read a little of it, and we don't believe he is saying that it's the New World Order or the evil brotherhood, secret brotherhood, the Illuminati. It's not their Bible. He's basically saying he was illuminated. He realized through revelations, revealings to him, a truth, a spiritual truth. So we're going to have a look at that. Sorin Cerin, the Illuminati Bible, published in 2014. And he states, in 2011 he had published a book called The Bible of the Light, which he felt as being a vision upon faith in divine light, a belief of his. In the coming years he had more published books at various publishers in the United States, but also in Romania, other volumes of aphorisms such as Illumination, The Sin, Paradise and Inferno, etc. volumes which have him complemented, which he has complemented the vision upon the faith, understanding that this not comes only from the outside, but especially from inside himself, as a result of the illumination of the soul. Therefore, he believed that he had reached a certain level of illumination. Thus, the Illuminati Bible came as something of themselves that had to happen. It's a little hard to understand because he's Romanian. He probably still has a problem with English. He believes in God as a universal consciousness. We believed in God as a universal consciousness, both outside and inside our souls. He had another vision upon religion, by understanding the evil equally necessary as the good in the knowledge process. What he understood through the Illuminati, or that illumination, is totally different from what others think. Namely, that would be a group of people who would lead mankind from the shadows, committing all sorts of abuses to maintain power. Okay, so what he understands about the secret evil so-called brotherhood, Illuminati, that people say, yeah, it's a conspiracy or this sort of stuff, and they're responsible for this and that. That Illuminati is totally different from what others think. Okay, so that's what he's saying. He understands through his illumination that it's totally different from what others think. Namely, that would be a group of people who would lead mankind from the shadows, committing all sorts of abuses to maintain power. So he's talking about the other Illuminati, the evil brotherhood that people talk about, right? The secret society. He only believed in true illumination on that. He only believed in true illumination, and many of you might find it in the pages of this book, Sorin Cerin. Yeah, it's quite hard to understand his English. His grammar here is pretty bad. Content page. The evil, God, the coaxialism, wisdom collection, etc. We are thinking of trying to find out what this word means. Let's first look at who Sorin Cerin was. He was born Sorin Cerin on November 25th, 1963 in Baia Mare, Romania. He was a Romanian philosopher and poet of Balkan and Greeks. He was born November 25th, 1963, which we already covered, with the name of Sorin Cerin, being of Balkan and Greeks. He spent the first years of his childhood in the parish of his grandfather, an Orthodox priest, in the village of Sauca, Satu Mare country. Okay, there's all the history of him here. His contributions to poetry, wisdom, philosophy, etc., and all the books of wisdom, literature, and so forth. This is bibliography, and so forth. And we're not going to go deep into it because we tried it before, and too many Romanian names or other names, and then words that cause us to utter stutter it all wrong, right? Yeah. So we're going to have a look at some keywords because we have no idea what they are. One of them is coaxialism. Is that how you say it? Coaxialism. I'm not too sure if that's how you say it. What is that? I had to put defined. Coaxialism. We're looking for that, and it gave us socialism defined. English meaning, Cambridge Dictionary. Sharing an axis, central point. A coaxial cable has two concentric wires. Okay, is that to do with computers? Or something like that. Some sort of technology. Okay, the freedictionary.com. Coaxial definition of coaxial by the Free Dictionary. Coaxial mathematics, having or being mounted on a common axis. Geometry of a set of circles, having all the centers on a straight line. Electronics, electrons formed from using or connected to a coaxial cable. Okay, we're not sure what that actually is. So in reference to this guy, okay, the Coaxialism Complete Reference Edition, Sorin Cerin. In coaxialism, every creative factor represents a number for all the other creative factors, but also a word that defines the number in question. A semantic meaning that constitutes the universal pure language, constitute the unique expression of the universal consciousness. Still don't really get it. Okay, here it is. Coaxialism Complete Reference Edition. Let's go look at this one. Definitions.net. Having a common axis, central axis. In geometry, coaxial means that several three-dimensional linear or planar forms share a common axis. Okay. Interesting. Okay, what else has he got to say here? What else? What other funny words have they got here? Aphorisms. Let's have a look at what that means. Aphorism, definition and meaning. Merriam-Webster Dictionary. A concise statement of a principle, a terse formation of a truth or sentimental adage. The high-minded aphorism, let us value the quality of life, not the quantity. 3. An ingeniously terse style of expression. Aphoristic language. These are dazzling chapters packed with perfectly chosen anecdotes. Aphorism, a short saying that is intended to express a general truth. An aphorism, from the Greek, denoting delimitation, distinction and definition, is a concise, terse, laconic, or memorable expression of a general truth or principle. 1. Aphorisms are often handed down by tradition from generation to generation. Aphorism, definition and meaning. Collins English Dictionary. A short, concise statement of a principle. A short, pointed sentence expressing a wise or clever observation or a general truth. Maxim, adage. Similar words. Yes, similar words to it. Aphorism, dictionary.com. A terse saying embodying a general truth, or astute observation, as power tends to corrupt and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Lord Acton. An aphorism is a statement or saying that is both efficiently presented and either witty or wise. While there are loads of trite and silly statements, a good aphorism is supposed to stand the test of time and remain true and elegant, a very difficult task. A short phrase that expresses a true or wise idea. Adage, when decorating, remember the familiar aphorism, less is more. Okay, so that's what that is defined. Here is the coaxialism. Chapter 1, purpose, hierarchy and the birth of numerology and the primordial factor 1. Chapter 2, the instinct, matrix, order and disorder, the dogma and so forth. Book of Passion, the book of illusions and reality, with aphorisms, the book of Revelations, and there's all the aphorisms there. The devil. Chapter 1. Attributive functions. Why did myself choose the destiny as which is foreign to him? Who was he and why did he find himself here at that point, right, in time? What, namely, has determined that he should not choose another destiny? Has he chosen the destiny? Has he really chosen the destiny, or has he chosen him? Even if he had chosen it through himself, even if he had chosen it himself, have more passed through this destiny prior to him? And why many? Because words, matrices are a self, each in part and according analogy of the all, are found in all the other words, and thus at this level of his destiny, he had more passed an infinity of word matrices as had passed into all the other destinies from this world. So, did each choose their own destiny? And why is he precisely choosing that one? What, namely, or what exactly can be the love than a religion? What, namely, can be the love than a religion? A religion of love? He was afraid because the religion was so often a dogma. He states, love is not a dogma and nevertheless is a religion. Love isn't a dogma, so religion shouldn't be a dogma either. Because we worship her more than any other god. Is he talking about love? Why? Because we are through birth the faithful of the religion of love. Okay, so that's what he's talking about. The religion of love. Kind of hard to get your head around because he's Romanian, his English, his grammatical structure, sentencing, and that isn't correct. We are those believers who believe in the religion of a pope who was killed precisely in the moment when he did love with his mistress by her husband. So what's he saying here? Is he asking a question, or is he making a statement that we are believers who believe in the religion of a pope, i.e. the Roman Catholic Church, who was killed precisely in the moment when he was making love with his mistress next to her husband? It doesn't really make sense. We believe a large proportion of people in Christianity and Catholicism say what they say to you, believe them, right? In Roman Catholicism, be it the Pope, be it some clergy, be it Catholics. Why? Because we are born to believe or to love. That one Pope was wrong making sex with married another or not. Was he wrong having sex with someone who was married or not? That one Pope believed in love. Did he believe in love or in the profane or sex? There was no love there. He just wanted to jump that chick through sex. He wanted to get satiety or satisfaction through sexual intercourse. The human being loves often associated with sex. Okay, so with the human being, the love is often associated with sex. Okay, it's not actually love, it's just self gratification, satiation. You're trying to fulfill a lust, right? Perhaps the sex is a supreme quality necessary in life. It's part of life, right? It's a necessary element in life. It becomes synonymous with love. This supreme necessity is it a supreme necessity of ourself or our own selfish needs above life? Yeah, is it more important than life? Why love? Regarding this thing, he had written more books, more about it in his books. He's quite categorical. The man in this world of knowledge does not know than to know the love and nothing else. Even if through the illusion of life has the impression that he would know the knowledge and the will. None of these are given to the man to them. No, it just doesn't make sense. None of these are like given to each man who knows them automatically, assuming that's what he's trying to say. Moreover, all the man's actions, respectively, and the sequence of events which he's conducted throughout his life is all predestined by the looks of it. It's all his destiny. Whereas the creation cannot be at the level of our creative factor and unique incidentally. So it's not the destiny that the Creator has had in store for him. So it's replaced with this false ideal of destiny, or destiny and the illusions of life. So the sequence of events it really doesn't make sense. It's trying hard to make sense of what he's trying to say. So the sequence of events which completes par excellence or the sequential events which makes somebody perfect. This phenomenon of the man life took place before of to be. It was supposed to happen before. It really doesn't make sense. Thus, everything that we have the illusion of life that we know, that will follow, was long before this or never after this, the creation being finished before being reflected by the knowledge as illusion of life. This just totally does not make sense. Somebody out there should have translated for him and put it into proper English. This thing stays the basis of the karmic imprint, which was constituted long before of to be formed by each being, in part indifferent if this is man, animal, plant, or whichever thing or object. All these were before of to be. Everything is considered evil by us, becomes ugly, despised, and immediately we want to fight against the evil by all our means without understanding. So he's basically saying here, he considers that everything is regarded as evil by himself and probably the religions, the doctrines of dogma, and it all becomes ugly, hated or despised, and immediately we want to fight against that evil with all our means without understanding. And how do we act towards strangers without understanding what evil actually is, and then judge that person harshly. Those who are doing these different things, we judge them harshly. Our life would be impossible without evil, because if it would not be the evil, if it didn't have evil, it would not be, it wouldn't be the good, which reveals or reports the evils, right? Something like that. How would a world in which we are without evil, how would the world be without evil, of which we run from desperately? Because we've been told run from evil by scriptures or something like that. Maybe. Would it be a better world? He didn't think so. When we unfold the good, only the good. It looks like he's saying something like, we want to know about the good, embrace the good when we want something in return. We don't really know evil, about the evil of that, probably. Would we find ourselves in an eternal paradise? Would it be better if we were in that paradise? I guess this does not make sense at all. But all that we wish could not be evil, and we had all that was good, only and only that good, or that which was good. Would the good turn into an inferno if we didn't have the evil to determine the good? Okay, so it's a balance, right? You've got to have the good to have the evil. You've got to have good to have evil. You've got to have evil to have good. It's a balance. Really, we would wish this paradise. Oh my gosh. We all yearn after it, but we really know after what, namely we yearn. Okay, so we're all yearning after paradise, i.e. pleasure, satisfaction, satiety, etc., etc. Pleasures of the flesh, materialism, all that sort of stuff. But is this what we really are craving for? Well, after you yearn for all that and you get it, do you carry on yearning for more and more and more? Satiety, satisfaction, pleasure, isn't it enough? Yeah. How does paradise look? when it's all a continuous good and no evil. This continuous good has no evil, not become terribly evil, if no more has another alternative or comparison. So it doesn't have any comparison. Evil is you can't compare evil to good. This is really weird, but we're trying hard, as we stated, to make sense of what he's trying to say. It just does not make sense. Do we know what we really want? Man is trying to be priestly, par excellence, or perfect, and that's why this particular guy stressed more than once over it, over death, nothingness, nothingness, life, and Buddha bird group. And he asks, why is man religious? Or why does man go religious? Because he is created to be priestly, but he doesn't know that, because he's cut off from his real self or himself. That's why man replaces his priestly quality with religious dogma that is so foreign from himself. Now that actually makes sense. That's why man replaces his priestly quality with religious dogma so that it is so foreign from himself. It's not him. Right? Dogma not makes he doesn't seem to remove it from himself, giving a greater magnitude or distance probably from that foreign being inside himself who tries to come at him and replace him. So if a man is a stranger of himself, if this man isn't his true self, it's something else, he's something else, he's a stranger to his true self, true inner self, and the society is a stranger to that man. Has that estrangement won through the dogma, which represents the inverse of priestly part of man. This dogma, it seems to, in this sense, be pretending that he's this priestly, it's a priestly part of man when it's not. And it's turned upside down by that foreign being, that foreign man that comes from himself, from his inner self. It comes out of him, right? Religion had him departed from his true self. Religion causes him to depart from his true self, his real self, and he's so alienated in such a measure that he has become a being anguished and full of everything that is not representing him, representative of him. It's not him. It's not his true self, or what he's truly meant to be. So he becomes a rapacious being, evil, malevolent, petty, full of envy and frustration of the most diverse frustrations. Who is the most evil? From the dogma, the devil. He is sneaky, full of everything that can mean the evil. He is sneaky. He's basically everything that's evil in this world. It's not the man, it's the devil. If it isn't the devil, if there was no devil, the man would be in an eternal paradise. Therefore, the devil is evil and God is good. The devil is always in an ideological dispute with God. What namely is God? Or what is God? Who is God? He's explained in the book the status of conception in the phenomenological coaxiology, and there's no reason to come back to this again, to this statement again. But what namely is the devil? What exactly is the devil? He hasn't explained in any of his works, his books, etc. But from what he's seen until this point, the devil is in man, because man is the one who has determined him as being the evil within. So he's hated. The devil is hated. If there's no evil, as he said many times, who would tell all about the good, or who would report the good? There can't be evil without good, nor good without evil, because otherwise we couldn't think on the basis of logical coefficient, but on the basis of another logical coefficient. Another type of logical coefficient, probably a counterfeit one. He calls him. He will call the devil Antichrist after the religion which he was born into, and he was baptized after a few months without being asked by someone. He didn't. He was a baby, so they just baptized him. They didn't ask him with this sort of stuff whether he'd want to be baptized, accepting that religion or not. That's what we're talking about, the respect of religion. If Antichrist never was, would there be more? If the Antichrist didn't exist, or never was, would there be more of the Christ? Which would more be the significance of Christ without Antichrist? So how more important, or how much more would the significance of Christ be without his counterfeit, the Antichrist? If the demons weren't killed or removed by the pig, Jesus said to these demons inside this man, the legion, get out of the man, go into these pigs, and then run off a cliff and they die, right? If he didn't remove those demons from those pigs, he wouldn't have fought against the evil one, the Antichrist. So what would be the point of the Christ? It's totally confusing. Since when are we born? Okay, since we are born, we are burdened with ideas like the one good God, and we struggle with the one evil beast. We're born innocent, we don't know nothing, right? We can't do anything, so our parents are the ones that have to feed us, change us, bathe us, spend time with us, love us, all that sort of stuff, right? And then eventually you're introduced, probably by those doting parents, to the church, to God, Jesus, etc. But in the meantime, you struggle with that evil beast, the devil, inside of you. But if you oppose God's goodness, you will be severely beaten by this one, the devil. Okay. If you don't have that Holy Spirit, or because you oppose God's goodness and reject the etc., and you don't have that force, that power, that Holy Spirit, you will be severely beaten by the devil. Why he beats God? Can he beat God? Not really too sure what he's talking about. He is not the beast. If he's not the beast, then he is not the Antichrist. This particular devil, right? Human God in this case is not a prestidigitator like in the man. Prestidigitator Dictator. What the hell is that word? An individual dictatorially full of hate and rancor when you no longer serve God. That's what you become. Okay, so it was determined before you were born that you should be a servant to the Christ. And then who is the Antichrist? The one who wants servants or slaves and humble individuals, or the one who does not want all this? And he states he didn't want to keep going back to historical transgressions of Christ. Churches that are intentionally hidden in souls full of fear of the Christed man, precisely because to him was inspired fear toward the Antichrist. What you represent, all that's alien to Christed man, who I must admit is precisely the true stranger from man. So in English, he didn't want to return to the historical transgressions or sins, deviancy of the churches, the so-called churches of Christ, that hidden in souls full of fear, because they've frightened them, they've scolded them and says, right, this is the way, our way, we're of God. Who are you to question us? We are chosen by God, etc., etc. We're the authority. You're just a Christian, a new Christian. You're supping the milk. We're chewing on the more mature meat, etc., etc. So they've made these people full of fear, and they have to rely on them, right? So he didn't want to go back to that sort of church that was filling people full of fear, right, about the Antichrist, the devil, all the stuff that's not what Christ taught, right? That's foreign to what Christ taught. So it makes you a stranger. You're not that person that you're meant to be, that being that's of Christ, that's Christ-like, that's spirit-led by Christ, etc. But you're this stranger, this foreign being to what you're meant to be. Okay? It's not you. Yeah, it's kind of. If you read this book, you'll probably go totally insane, get yourself committed or something, because this just does not make sense. Okay, we're trying really, really hard to try and get our head around it and try and interpret to what we think, what we assume he's trying to say. Man must not be a being full of fear of the Antichrist. Have no fear, right? That's what God said. Do not fear. Okay? So he's telling you a command. Don't be afraid. Only be afraid of he who can destroy both the soul and the body in hell, right? Which is God. Yeah. Man must not be a being full of fear of the Antichrist, or that counterfeit Christ, that fake Christ, that beast, right? For to encumber the pockets of priests or of some petty politicians. So don't be afraid. Don't let it put the fear in you. If you don't tithe, if you don't harvest, sow a harvest, or that prosperity church, charisma church, baloney. Because basically they're filling the pockets of their own pockets, and those of politicians and those that support them and promote them and all that sort of stuff that they're friendly with, that they're shaking hands with, right? For to encumber the pockets of priests, or to fill up the pockets of priests, or of some petty politicians who stand with the cross, with the cross on their chest, maybe it's a necklace or some other decoration, and have a hand on the pen and signing the papers full of corruption. Right? The ones that start wars and conflicts and all this sort of stuff. That's what he seems to be talking about. Man must understand both good as well as evil, both Christ as well as Antichrist, whom he named. He's named him, right? He's named the Christ and he's named the Antichrist. He's trying to tell you the difference between the two. He's naming them according to the Christian religion, but which in reality is, in his philosophy, means good and evil, and not God, because God is the status of conception, and evil exists only depending on good, and good depending on evil. There are no devils or other figments of human imagination than the evil through which man is reporting he's doing good. Pretty sure that's what he's saying. God in quality of status of conception is one alone, infinite and the good, just like the good and evil are part of the God or God. Evil should not be taken as though it's alien to God. If it's making man a stranger, making man who's supposed to be predestined to be following God, Christ, etc. He's been replaced by this evil counterfeit. Right, you're not your true self. Status of conception is determined from the level by the infinite continuum of the unique expression of pure universal consciousness, from the infinity level of words, matrices of framework of the pure universal language, up to the word matrix of the knowledge, in conducting of whom through instinct is determined the absolute truth, and once with this the eye of the primordial factor, in which are found reflected the infinity of words, matrices of the pure universal language, reflected because the main characteristic of knowledge is the mirror, respectively the semantic mirror of the infinite, or God. Once reflected in this mirror, each such word matrix becomes a creative factor and unique, incidentally one of them being in the creative factor of our world. Once with the creative factors, the numerology is born. Absolute knowledge and absolute truth determines the original thought of, or the original thought of the primordial factor. Okay, this is, as we said, really hard to get your head around. And in some places it's like his English is correct, and it goes back to being a total mess. So, if you enjoyed this really crazy video, then get crazy and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and give us a like, add your crazy comments about this crazy video, this crazy book, and we'll get back to you as soon as we get over being crazy, right? Because of this book and this bizarre translation. It's like, yeah, still no headed. And then share it with your friends and family who might need a good laugh. You may find some things in there in the correct sentencing, and they may make you realise something, but everything else is just totally confusing. It's like, we don't mean to be rude to the guy or anything like that, because it's English, it's a foreign language to him, right? He's Romanian, etc. But it's like play centre or kindergarten language. Yeah, it's like level -1 or something. It's like really, really bad. So maybe there's someone out there who translated his works into better English. There are many of them available, but this is the first one he came across, so maybe this was his first attempt, and then after a while he learned to speak better English and wrote better English, etc., and it becomes more sensical. Okay, so as we said, subscribe to our channel, give us a like, add your comments below this video, and we might find an end screen video where someone talks about him and actually explains what he was all about, right, in proper English usage.